Do you want to learn how to mask your identity to browse inappropriate websites and stream media while at the office?
Well, we can't help you with that. But among the many IT problems we solve, Barracuda's web security solutions keep online activity clean and ensure internet bandwidth performance. Reclaim your network, like 150,000 other businesses already have. To learn more about preventing web-based threats, visit barracuda.com/web.
The Russillo Show podcast.
Hey, it's Adnan and Virk. Thanks for downloading the podcast. Today, me and Danny Kanell broke down the ESPYs, who in particular stood out to us, plus Bob Wischusen's thoughts on golf, Ryan Clark, and how upset he is that guys in the NFL make more money than he ever did. Plus, is Clayton Kershaw the Peyton Manning of baseball? My celebrity softball game recap, plus Emmy Awards preview, why we're most excited to see Game of Thrones killing it, plus Better Call Saul. The podcast starts right now.
Now, it's the Russillo Show on ESPN Radio.
And ESPNRadio.com.
How was your night last night?
It was great. I had a good time watching the ESPYs.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Joel McHale did a pretty good job. I thought he was funny. I loved that he pushed the envelope a little bit on some of the topics that he went after. And I teared up a couple times. I'm emotional. I've talked about that before. When Devin Still was talking about his daughter Leah, I got really emotional.
Yep.
When my wife looked at me and she was really disappointed in who she married, I think. When the show started, they show this sports montage, of the year in sports.
Favorite part of the show, yeah.
And, she could kind of tell I was getting emotional, and she's like,
no,
come on.
that's good stuff.
But I love, that's how much I'm passionate about sports. I love moments, and they're showing the best moments of the year. I loved it. I thought it was really entertaining.
I always love an opening montage because I don't know who puts it together, but they did a phenomenal job. Because how can you encapsulate the entire year, every sport, in 6 minutes?
And they did.
And it was incredible stuff. We'll start first with McHale because I agree with you. I thought this joke in particular, you and I both agreed, was hysterical.
And Team USA took home the first Women's World Cup. Yes. Since we started caring about it 11 days ago. Thank you, ladies.
And it's really accurate.
Oh.
I mean, it's really true because the World Cup comes around with men's and women's soccer. All of a sudden, everybody's in the bandwagon wearing their red, white, and blue, myself included.
You wore a scarf.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I wore one of those American Outlaw get-ups. I don't know what was on it. But, hey, and it's great. It's patriotic. Everybody gets behind it. Mm-hmm. I thought that was hilarious. I thought the JPP joke when he showed his finger. So I know some people thought it was too soon. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, if you can't laugh at yourself, I mean, I know the guy did lose a digit. It's never a good thing. But the sooner you can laugh about it, the sooner you can get over with.
Yeah, I would think most athletes want to have a sense of humor about themselves. In particular, Alex Rodriguez coming out and doing that bit with Ken Jeong about stuff he wanted to apologize for and obviously not getting the PDs. I thought that was a lighthearted, fun way of doing things. Ronda Rousey winning Best Female Athlete, she was pulling no punches.
I can't help but really say that I wonder how Floyd feels being beat by a woman for once. Wow. I like to see her pretend to not know who I am now.
Ronda Rousey.
Whoa!
Remember when she was on this show, did not Scott or Ryan ask her if she would fight Floyd or something along those lines? I think Ryan said it got a little bit awkward at that point, but I mean, she is ferocious. I mean,
really, she talks some smack with the best of them. I like it.
Yeah.
Although now here I had two problems with the show last night.
Okay.
Two.
So we showed you the positive. Here's some.
I had two awards.
Don't get yourself in trouble here.
No. I question. I questioned two of the awards that were given out, okay?
Best team should not have been Women's World Cup soccer.
I didn't have – no. I know you thought I was going to go there, but it's every 4 years, so all right, throw them a bone.
Weak, though.
Yeah, but it's good. I mean, they accomplished something great. But the week-long celebration is getting a little bit taxing. But it's all – but I think now it is finally over. They have to go to work. They have to get back to their regular season grind.
I'm still bitter. Canada lost to England in the quarterfinals, so on home soil would have been nice. But right. Go ahead.
So here are my two. The breakthrough athlete was given to Monet Davis over Jordan Spieth. Now, to me, it's not even close as far as who's having a breakout year. Jordan Spieth, 2 majors. He's had a great day today at the British Open. Mm-hmm. You're talking about a superstar in the making, and it's not to take away from Monet Davis. I mean, what she did was spectacular. I love anytime she comes on TV. Yeah. I point it out to my daughters and say, check how cool this is. This is awesome.
She did dominate the Little League World Series.
She didn't even win at all.
I
didn't even win.
But she was having a breakthrough. She was awesome.
A complete game shutout. That's great, but it's not a breakthrough athlete. Jordan Spieth,
he's
superstar.
No.
All right, so that was
looking at pro versus Little League. It's tough to compare them.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe they shouldn't have Little League involved in that category then if you want to have it. All right, so then my other one was best female athlete, was
Ronda
given
Rousey.
to Ronda Rousey over Serena Williams.
Yeah,
you can't have it. What Serena just did with the Serena Slam. I know Ronda's been exceptional, and she knocks people out in 17 seconds.
Yeah.
But for me, what Serena's done, and it's not even for me, it's not a body of work. It's what she's done in this calendar year.
Yeah.
I mean, we've only seen Ronda Rousey a couple times, and she's been great when she's done it.
But those
and
matches
she's
are like
marketed,
that. Right.
You know, she's marketed better than anybody. Which, to me, that's why I was curious about the voting process. Like, is it total fan vote? Because if it is, I could see that being the case. Because Ronda's very popular. I think there's probably fatigue with Serena Williams. People are like, we've already, we want somebody new in there. And I think it shows a younger generation, too, especially if voting for Monet Davis and Ronda Rousey over those two.
I'm with you, though. I would have picked Serena Williams for sure. I mean, 21 Grand Slams. She's one behind Steffi Graf, and she's 3 behind Margaret Court for the most all time. You ask anybody who knows anything about tennis, and you respect their opinion, they all say Serena's already the best female athlete of all time. So I'm with you. I would have been nice to see Serena recognized, although she's won a ton of ESPYs in the past. I'm sure we'll win many more in the future as well. My favorite moment of the night, Derek Jeter getting honored there, the Icon Award. It was just so cool to see the montage of great moments with the Killers song, all these things that I've done. How great is that track outsider, Mike? You got to give me a little Killers here at some point.
That's why I teared up at that part.
Oh.
Yeah.
Derek Jeter.
Like all the iconic moments of the captain. I mean, he's the best. Hannah Davis next to him.
I didn't tear up with him.
No horse there.
Because there was a little Jeter fatigue towards the end, too. I mean, he had his farewell. Do we really need more love?
It's the one more farewell for Jeter.
Did they make up an award?
Just to get Jeter to come to the ceremony. Hey,
Ron.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, there was a couple awards, right?
Yeah, but some of these athletes, they have egos. They need to be stroked a little bit. They need to throw them some love, throw them a bone.
It was nice to see Ben Affleck supporting the award, right?
That was pretty cool.
Man.
Yeah.
Different.
Jeter's the man.
He was a little stuttery up there.
Affleck?
Yeah.
I just got divorced. He's going through some personal issues. I thought he was going to come up and make that joke. Sorry I didn't bring Jennifer Garner here tonight, but in case you haven't heard.
One other moment that I teared up with, I thought Devin Still with Leah Still, I thought that stole the night. I mean, I know a lot of talk was about Caitlyn Jenner and the speech that she gave, but I thought Devin Still, speaking from the heart, and for me, I love a speech when and he went a long time, but he didn't have a prompter. He didn't read it. He just spoke from the heart. And I thought, to me, that was the difference between him and Caitlyn Jenner, she was emotional too, but you could tell she was reading. And for me, I thought Devin Still was way more inspirational to me too. And it hit home close because I have, little girls and what he's been through. But how about Danielle Green, who won the Pat Tillman Award?
Mm-hmm.
That was another moment when I was like, wow, like just stole the show in my mind.
Let's call Devin Still the unsung hero of last night. The new Wyndham Rewards is built for all the unsung heroes out there. Sign up at WyndhamRewards.com. No tricks, just Wyndham Rewards magic. You have earned this. With Danny Kanell, I'm Adnan Virk. You mentioned Danielle Green, what an emotional moment that was. In case you missed it, the Pat Tillman winner.
Let me share with you one more story about my injury. After my left arm was separated from my body on that day in Iraq, I thought I also lost my wedding rings. That might seem like a small footnote, but not to my comrades. That night, they went back to the rooftop where we had been attacked, dug through almost a foot of sand, and found my hand and my rings. I'll never forget that, them coming into my hospital room that night to bring my rings back to me. I'll never forget the feeling of people caring about me so much that they would risk their own lives for me.
And that's where, that's the real passion of life, right? When you can make sports greater than it is, broader than it is, you talk about life and death. I mean, that was an incredible speech.
That was incredible to me, and that hit home. I mean, when you talk about what our soldiers do for our country and men and women that serve us, I mean, Stanford Steve was talking about how he read American Sniper. Those books, like the Navy SEAL books and books about the heroes, the stuff they do.
Unbroken.
Yeah. Lone Survivor was incredible, and how that's always amazed me, how just the little things, like some people might think, well, why would you go back for a wedding ring? It's something that could be replaced. Mm-hmm. But just the fact they wanted to do that for somebody who had just lost their arm and find that meaningful memento that she lost. I mean, it's unbelievable that the type of things and the courageousness that some of our soldiers show for us.
Lauren Hill's story as well, also very impactful, and nice seeing that as well. And just, I mean, you think about it again, and people, their dreams sometimes could be so fleeting, just want to get on the court just once and able to get a couple of baskets before unfortunately succumbing to cancer. Obviously, Robin Roberts, our friend who spoke to us yesterday, talking about Stuart Scott and his contribution as well. Lots of really impactful moments, and just to close up with what you said about Caitlyn Jenner, certainly it's emotional. I can understand why it's really a touch point for all those in the trans community and those who are eager to see this kind of acceptance, but it did feel a little bit rehearsed, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, That's
Right,
the criticism. I get that you are going to rehearse a speech like this, but
I joked about the Jeter fatigue and stuff, but the piece that led into the speech felt exactly the same as I saw with Diane Sawyer, which had already aired. And I watched that whole thing too. But it was a special night for a lot of different people for a lot of different reasons, and I thought it was you could find something positive in a lot of the different stories.
No question about that. All right, coming up, we'll head over to St. Andrews to recap the first round of the Open Championship. But let us know what you liked most about the ESPYs. Tweet us at Russillo Show and let us know. We'll read some of those tweets. Steve will be all over.
Don't troll us either.
Yeah, exactly. People were asking why we weren't at the ESPYs. Danny and I hoping to get there one day.
Yeah, we're
next
hosting.
year.
That's the goal.
You, me, and Galloway hosting the ESPYs next year from McHale.
It's the red carpet special. Throw us something.
Yeah, we'll be there for ESPNW. We'll do whatever you need to do. Us and Sarah Spain, Prim, whatever you got.
The Russillo Show.
We'll get to our friend Bob Wischusen momentarily, who just got done calling the first round of the Open Championship at St. Andrews. But in case you missed a little bit of the action, Tiger Woods has a mountain to climb. Here's what he had to say.
Well, I'm so far back and the leaderboard is so bunched that in order for me to get in there by Sunday, I'm going to have the conditions tough, and then obviously put together some really solid rounds. Something like what JD did back in '95. If you shoot some good solid rounds in tough conditions like that, players can move up the board, and hopefully I'm one of them.
Tiger Woods, who had never shot worse than 73 on the old course as a pro, comes out with a 76, plodding to that first round. Not good news as we bring in Bob Wischusen, who called it on ESPN Radio, joining us on the Subway Fresh Take Hotline. Bob, thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk about Jordan Spieth momentarily, but what did you see from Tiger today?
Not much. I mean, by the way, nobody asked me what my theme music ought to be coming in.
What do you got, Bob?
I didn't get it.
Fish.
What's that?
Give us a Fish song. That's your band.
Anything by Fish.
Yeah.
Give me some tweezers, some Carini, something that rocks. But yeah, anything by Fish qualifies.
All right, we'll know that for next time, Bob. That's
right. Yeah, Tiger, I'll tell you, we were watching before we came on the air, because Tiger teed off before we even began our coverage, and we were over in the media center. And it's 60 degrees here this morning with like a 10-mile-an-hour wind and cloud cover. And he was in a full lather on the first tee. Like, you could see the sweat coming out of his hat as if it was 90 degrees and 100% humidity. He almost looked ill. And then the first shot, I mean, you guys obviously are somewhat familiar with St. Andrews, I'm sure. Number 1 and 18 on this golf course form a piece of property that looks like the driving range at your golf course. You can hit it anywhere. And he basically just kind of chunked a shot down the middle and got kind of that driving range roll. And he was like 40 yards behind Louis Oosthuizen, and then hit his second shot fat in the water. I mean, number 1, especially today, this morning with no wind, was probably about as easy a start as you'll ever get in a major championship. And he hit 2 terrible shots right out of the box, and it just never got any better, really. He actually played pretty good on the back just to keep it at 4 over par. So, I mean, he's talking about shooting a good number and has to hope that the conditions deteriorate so everybody else kind of comes back to him. And, I mean, if he shoots anything tomorrow around par, I'd be almost impressed based on how he played today.
Shoo, I heard you guys having this conversation this morning on the radio, and I think what I thought was really revealing was how relaxed and different he looked yesterday. Like, he didn't look nervous at all, and he looked like everybody said, oh, it looks like he could be back. I mean, is it just that he's a mental basket case? I mean, that's what it looks like from the outside.
Yeah, he doesn't reveal that, Danny, so it's hard to tell, but you're reading body language more than anything else. The only thing I can tell you is, and kind of the way he described how he hit it at Greenbrier, how he hit it in the warm-up today, and then he went out on the golf course. You and I are like, kind of fraudulent hack amateurs who like have a 5 handicap. How many times have you walked off the driving range and then played, and you're standing on the 18th green going, man, I hit it so good on the range. I wonder why I just can't take that to the golf course.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that's scary. That Tiger Woods is saying things that, like, we amateurs say. I mean, I've shot 72 on every driving range I've ever played on, but when you actually go to the real golf course, it turns into 85 pretty quick. And that's kind of what it looked like for Tiger today. I mean, to talk about, I had a great warm-up, I'm striping it on the range, it just goes to show you that even for players at this level, you're in a major championship, taking your relaxed, you're just peeling balls off and swinging on the driving range, and now you're going out onto the golf course where every shot counts. I mean, it's a big difference. And then it makes just what Jordan Spieth and Dustin Johnson and guys like that do makes it look so much more impressive because they literally can take their driving range swing to the golf course, execute it, and shoot a number.
Tune in to second round coverage of the Open Championship on ESPN Radio, presented by Golfsmith and Farmers Insurance. Coverage begins tomorrow at 7 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio, ESPNRadio.com, as Bob Wischusen continues to join us here on the Russillo Show. Adnan, Virk, and Danny Kanell.
Bob, Jordan Spieth, you mentioned him there. He shot a 67. He's 500 and tied for 7th place. For me, he looked totally comfortable, totally in control. Even gave back a couple shots in the back nine this morning. But what's been your assessment of his play so far?
Yeah, he was a little errant off the tee a couple times, had a couple bad breaks, and that's going to happen. One of the holes, I think it was 13, he drove it dead down the middle and right into the coffin bunkers and had to play out sideways. Every now and then, you're going to hit a shot out here that you think is a good shot, and it's going to hit a mound, take a weird bounce, find a bunker, and you're going to have to kind of take your medicine. The only element that I thought was interesting, because he played alongside Dustin Johnson. So Dustin shoots 65, and Spieth shoots 67. So 2 shots separate the two. Both played extraordinarily well. There were 4 or 5 times where the players have a pretty clear risk-reward choice to make off the tee. Am I going to hit hybrid or iron and kind of take some bunkers and some rolling areas or tight fairways out of play? Or am I going to hit driver and risk it and try and plow it down there and get within 40 or 50 yards of a 380 to 340-yard hole? And there were 3 or 4 times where Spieth hit iron or hybrid and played the more conservative route, played to the fat part of the fairway. Every single time that there was a chance for Dustin Johnson to hit driver, he hit driver. And I'm wondering if over 72 holes, if he keeps with that strategy and he keeps driving it well, if he's not going to force these other guys to say, oh, wait a minute. I mean, this dude is hitting it from, 40 yards in front of these par 4s and all these, because he's hitting it 340 off the tee, and he has no problem plowing it over bunkers, taking on the narrowest parts of the fairway, and he's making it work. I may have to do the same thing. I'm really interested to see how Jordan Spieth approaches tomorrow's round, if he stays with his game plan, or if every now and then the driver comes out in a spot that it didn't today because he's watching Dustin Johnson 60, 70 yards ahead of him on some of these holes. That's got to be tough to watch all day. Today he's stuck with his game plan, and he's 2 shots behind Dustin Johnson. If all of a sudden tomorrow he's 4 shots behind Dustin Johnson with 6 or 7 holes to play in the second round, does he stick with that game plan, or does he start to say, wait, this guy's starting to get away from me because he's taking these risks and he's being rewarded for it?
Great stuff from Bob Wischusen. Just got done calling the first round of the Open Championship at St. Andrews on ESPN Radio. You can continue to listen all weekend long. And next time, Bob, I promise you, we'll get some fish on and we'll get some Jets talking as well.
Okay, chalk dust torture. You could throw that one in there as well into the rotation. I like that one also.
Chalk dust torture. That's fantastic. Thanks, man.
All right, Adnan envelopes. Nobody better to talk to. Keep it opening up those SP envelopes. I liked hearing that, too.
You're the best.
The Russillo Show.
Nick Saban from the SEC Media Day yesterday. I said earlier, it sounds more like a winner than a whiner. Take a listen to what Nick said.
Last year, our team chemistry from the SEC championship game to the playoff game was affected by something. I think that to have a December 15th deadline from when a junior can submit for a draft grade, and then you get that assessment back, sometime right before or right after Christmas, and then you have a playoff game coming up on January 1st or 2nd, and I think, it's my obligation as a coach to inform that young man when I get that information, because it's his information, it's not my information.
Listen, he's one of the best coaches in college football history, but that to me sounds like, and he's whining a little bit. He's looking for an excuse for what happened. You got beat by a better team.
That's weak. I thought it was really weak by Nick Saban to come out and bring that up. I think there's a time and a place for it.
Mm-hmm.
If you want a rule change with that, bring it up at a different time. Don't tie it in at all to that game which you lost. I mean, you didn't hear him complain when they're winning the national championship against Notre Dame. Did it not affect them then? I mean, were they able to put that aside? Because there were a lot of number one first-round draft picks on that team.
Mm-hmm.
When they beat LSU, you didn't hear him complain about it then. This is really the third excuse he's made in the last couple years. He complained about the pace of play with the no-huddle offenses, tried to get that rule changed. He comes out with this one. Before the Sugar Bowl last year against Oklahoma, he said, my guys weren't in it because we're not playing for a national title. I'm tired of hearing about the excuses. Like, everybody has their own things. Like, don't tell me about your sob story when you're getting more 5-star recruits than anybody else. Like, don't tell me to feel sorry for you. Look, I think Nick Saban is a fantastic coach. But I think it's starting to wear on a lot of people. I mean, these comments started trending on Twitter rather quickly as soon as they came out of his mouth. And then a couple hours later, he went on the Feinbaum show, and he was talking to him, and he sounded caught off guard, like, why am I getting criticized for this? I think people are tired of hearing him make excuses for why they didn't win a championship. Look, it was a good game. You got beat by the better team. Just tip your cap and move on. And if you want a rule, I agree with him on the rule change. Like, yeah, if you want to move it back a month.
But don't bring it up here.
No, don't bring it up here, and don't tie it into any reason why you lost. Just say, hey, I think it would be better for college football as a whole if we kept this average after the season, so it's not a distraction for anybody involved in a bowl game. Because I've done bowl games, and it's embarrassing sometimes. You see guys that have first-round draft grades, you know they're leaving, and they're playing not to get hurt. It is ugly. I did North Carolina. I did their game, like the Liberty Bowl, like 5 or 6 years ago. I think they were playing Missouri, and you could tell. And I was saying on the broadcast, like, these guys do not look like they want to be here.
They're just dogging it?
And they don't. No,
Right.
they're not dogging. They're just, the effort is not
Very
there.
clear.
Yeah, you can see them kind of, you know, they're just not trying as hard. And you can see it. It's one of those things. Because I don't like questioning a guy's effort. You know, I'll criticize them if they make a mistake. But, you know, the guys, for most part, are trying. But now these guys, there's so much money at stake, it's hard not to blame them. And you can understand why they're doing it. But it's a poor excuse. If you suit up, like, to me, if you suit up, if you put the uniform on, you should go out there and try hard. And a lot of times you go out, and when you see guys get hurt is when they're trying to protect themselves. As ironic, as weird as that sounds.
Right.
When you don't go full speed, that's when bad things tend to happen.
Yeah, it's almost like if you have like a leg injury and you start to kind of favor your hammy, well, then all of a sudden your quad gets hurt. Like,
Yeah.
You've got to be going at one speed. And I'm glad you mentioned with Saban, this isn't the first time. If this was just one issue, okay. But that no huddle, I remember he said that was causing too many injuries and guys were getting hurt. And all of a sudden he hires Lane Kiffin as his offensive coordinator. So, okay, fine, I'll be the no huddle guy.
Right.
And then the excuse becomes, well, we ran more plays than any team in the SEC, over 1,000. That's where our defense got beat up by Auburn and Ohio State. You can't have it both ways here.
No, if
you don't think he was trying to send a message to his team?
Which one? This announced this? Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think it's an issue.
He did the same thing though, Danny. When they came off the national championship, and then they had that 10-3 team, Julio Jones. The next offseason, this same thing. I remember him coming up to ESPN saying, you know, what happened last year? You had all this NFL talent. He's like, guys, they didn't buy in.
Yeah.
You know, they were worried about what was next
So now
for him.
but remember
And I
last
think
year.
he's just doing that again here.
Remember last year, A.J. McCarron made some comments after the game. Said, hey, we didn't have the leadership we wanted. Guys were starting to, you know, cruise. They weren't into it. We didn't have the team chemistry. But that's your number one job. As much as there are X's and O's involved, your job is to motivate your players, to make sure they're ready mentally on game day. And if you don't know what to do to get them, and this is an issue, it's not just the Nick Saban Alabama issue. Look at the great programs. Once you start getting, they've had 5 in a row, they've had the number one recruiting class. You start getting guys who are entitled. And those are the toughest guys to motivate because a lot of them are looking, hey, I'm looking to the next level. Just get me to the NFL.
Yeah.
And the more of those guys you get in there, that attitude can invade a locker room, and it's really a bad thing. You saw it happen at Florida State. You saw it happen at Texas with Mac Brown. You've seen it happen at Florida. It happens. The more success you have, the harder it is to maintain it. That's why you see these cycles come and go. And I think that's Nick Saban's probably his biggest challenge right now.
And that's what I'm saying. It's one thing you have to adapt once teams catch up to you, so to speak. When
Yeah.
Spurrier had fun and gun with Florida, guys had to catch up. Urban Meyer uses a spread offense. All of a sudden, teams to catch up what he was doing with Florida then. So I think for Saban, it's almost like he feels like, obviously, teams have caught up to him now. They figured out what Alabama's doing. He still has the edge in recruiting. It's still a big name. But listen, the media's picking Auburn to win the SEC championship.
That's my pick, too. But one of my favorite things, Brett Bielema, who was another guy who didn't like the no-huddle offenses.
Yeah.
This is what you do to beat them. And he had one of the best quotes immediately saying it was an erotic feeling to beat Texas. I don't know, it was a little out there, but he's awesome, gives you great quotes.
Yeah.
If you want to beat somebody in the no-huddle, keep the ball out of their hands. That's what Arkansas is doing. They are running the ball. They're maintaining the time of possession.
Mm-hmm.
They're not letting those offenses get comfortable. Don't complain about the rules. Adjust to them. Come up with your own philosophy to counter those attacks.
Yeah, just not a good look for Nick Saban. I just think
No,
he's better than
I'm
that.
with you.
And like you said, he looked like he was caught off guard. He didn't think it would be that big a deal, but come on, he's got to know everyone's going to dissect every word he's going to say.
Geico presents Strange Saving Stories. Astronomers detected an interstellar transmission. It stated, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. The implications were staggering. Was the cosmos telling us we could all save hundreds on car insurance with Geico? Or did their radar merely pick up a signal from the nearby Rufus and Clyde's morning show? We may never know.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
It's the Russillo Show.
Ryan Clark is in the house, ESPN NFL analyst. We're going to get to some baseball about 15 minutes from now. Second half storylines to look forward to. Well, let's talk some NFL right now. Did you watch the ESPYS last night?
I guess you guys just had to have me on because my name was Ryan. Because clearly there isn't much news for me to talk about. Right. You know what? I may have watched the ESPYS if I weren't flying to come work for the worldwide leader.
Fair enough, then.
You see what I'm saying? So, like, I could have, but I really couldn't.
Right.
Because I was on the plane.
So there was a legit reason. It wasn't
it was a legitimate reason. I just want the Disney company to know that I am in full support of.
You're always and if you ever get an invite, you're there, no matter what. Boom.
You know what? I was invited. We won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I was invited to go out, and I had that free agent, undrafted free agent mindset. You know, my wife was like, "Should I get a dress? What are we going to do?" I was like, "You want me to take off 2 days of training to go to a place where they're not going to let me talk?" I was like, no way. So I never went. Maybe if I ever get good at this, like, they'll let me go.
I want to ask you, before we get to the specifics of Des Bryant and Marius Thomas, I want your thoughts on something, because the NBA free agency just happened, and there was this windfall of money that was just coming. Well, that's what. So then
he's getting paid John Wall money.
Well, that's why I wanted your take from an NFL guy who just recently played. Like, what is going through your mind when you're seeing some of the top-tier players in the NFL getting – and the numbers are deceiving because you see $70 million, $75 million total,
right.
$101 million, but those aren't the guaranteed money. Exactly. What is going through your mind when you're weighing the NFL contracts versus the NBA guys' contracts? Because me, sometimes I get a little bitter.
Well, I don't get bitter because, you know, we talk about the undrafted free agent thing, so I brainwashed myself while I was playing. You know, when I felt like I was one of the top safeties in the league, and during the season, people would talk about me that way. And then afterwards, they'd be like, well, you know, Troy's the guy, and so we can't really pay you this. So I convinced myself that I would only worry about my wallet. And I felt like if I only worried about my wallet, it didn't matter what, you know, Danny or Cap had in their wallet, because I was okay with me. I might not be able to buy your house, but I can buy the house down the street, and I'm comfortable with that. So, but now that I'm out, it pisses me off. I get that. Right. You know what I mean? Because you look at it, right? So these guys get, so you look at Kenton and Jackson, they get $150 guaranteed, right?
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
That's 100% correct.
Guaranteed. So Thomas and Brian get what it ends up being like 88.5.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Yep.
You know, and that's what they might see. Or you look at, even Calvin Johnson's numbers are so inflated, but his guarantee is 43.5. Mm-hmm. And so you look at this, you have to, though, I try to be smart enough to take the whole sport into context. That it's only 15 guys to pay as opposed to.
Yeah, but NFL is America's sport now.
No, I'm it's
America's sport.
That's why Roger Goodell gets to make almost $50 million because of the money that they're making. But I try to just, from being inside the NFLPA, you know, I know what the issue is. There's a clause. This is an old clause. It's older than all of us in the CBA, where they have to put money in escrow for guaranteed deals. So that's what they can always lean on. Well, you know, can't give this guy a fully guaranteed contract because all the money I guarantee, I have to put it in escrow. Where these other places or these other organizations or leagues don't have that. And so I tweeted it yesterday. I was like, man, boys are really getting rich today. They're getting paid. I was like, they can be like the 7th or 8th guy off the bench in the NBA.
Right, exactly.
And like,
that's
it's true.
It is.
Like Kyle Singler got like $25 million guaranteed.
Yeah.
I'm trying to talk. Did I make $25 million? I'm trying to think about it. You know what I mean? I played 13 years.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, it's different sports. And, you know, so I'm happy for the guys, but I do think that's something that we have to continue to work towards as, you know, as players. Try to get fully guaranteed contracts.
Just to put it in context so we can all be mad at somebody else, Floyd Mayweather made more in one night than LeBron James has made in his career.
Oh.
As far as earning on the
This is what I'll say about that, though.
That's a punch in the face. Wait, he gets punched in the
face. But he gets punched in the face, though.
Oh, he doesn't. He runs away.
One guy's a basketball player, gets punched in the face.
He gets punched in the face. Well, Floyd doesn't really get
so
punched in the face.
Right,
Other people get punched in the face. But you think about it, though. Like, I always look at, like UFC guys. You know how they stand in. Like, I watched UFC Saturday, and I cringed for 3 straight hours.
There was some blood shed.
Do you prefer watching UFC over boxing?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do. I do because, you know, there's nights in UFC that people, like judges, don't have to come to the arena. You know what I mean? Like, they legitimately don't do any work. Like, they came to Louisiana a few weeks ago, or about a month. The judges did no work. There was no fight on the card that went to the judges. And, I mean, that's what people want. It's exciting. Sometimes it lacks a little bit of, technique and gracefulness. But, hey, man, who cares? It's fun to watch. I respect those guys.
Talk with Ryan Clark, NFL analyst right now on the
we
Russillo
talk no NFL. Sorry, guys.
no, I'm looking at the NFL here.
Hey, that's why he's a great host. He's funny.
I was going to say, we're just going to go all over the place here. We'll freestyle it. I do want to ask you one NFL question. That's about the Cowboys. So now that Dez is locked in, I don't know about you, Ryan, but last year I was just surprised all year long because I was just one of those guys who was not believing until the year kind of developed. You see how great the offensive line was, how good Romo was, and obviously DeMarco Murray. Now, he's no longer there.
Right.
They're not going to catch anybody off guard this year. Cowboys legit Super Bowl contenders, or do they take a bit of a step back in that division?
No, I think they're legit Super Bowl contenders. I feel like they were a team that could have won the Super Bowl last year. They were good enough to be in it. But you know how it goes. The ball has to, bounce your way, and it bounced out of Dez's hands. They didn't get that opportunity. Looking at the team now, it's quote-unquote meat left on the bone in Dallas, supposedly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really know what it meant. I know the saying. I don't know if it applied in that situation. But, hey, who am I? I'm just a guy that's old and retired. But, the offensive line is extremely good. One of the better, if not the best, offensive line in football. DeMarco Murray was that one-cut guy you needed for that. When Randall would come in and spell him, he'd have big plays. But it's different when you're running 6 to 7 times a game or 8 times a game, and you're the 25, 20 carry guy. Can McFadden do that? Can Randall come in and do that? So this team's going to start and end with Tony Romo. So if you're going to go into the season thinking that, Dez Bryant has to be signed. They got that done. He's also the tone setter for this team. If the defense can play as well as they played last year, they weren't world beaters, but they kept them in every game and allowed those playmakers on offense to make plays. I think they can be contenders again.
Bend but don't break. Surprise someone special with a gift just because. 1-800-Flowers.com. Go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN for exclusive offers starting at $29.99.
Who means more to their quarterback, Dez Bryant to Tony Romo or Demaryius Thomas to Peyton Manning?
I think it has to be Dez.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Not even I think. It has to be Dez just because it's Peyton Manning. And we've seen, like, you can roll through guys who put up Pro Bowl, All-Pro, Hall of Fame type numbers for a year or two because they had Peyton Manning. Emmanuel Sanders, a guy who I was in Pittsburgh with always knew he had talent, goes to Denver, he goes to the Pro Bowl. Demaryius Thomas, who's a great talent, even played well while Tim Tebow was there, still has Peyton Manning. Tony Romo, though always being a very good quarterback, is special with having Dez Bryant, a guy you can throw a slant to, and he can take it to the house. A guy you can throw balls up to while covered. Think back to the Houston Texans play there late in the game. He just tossed it up. He said, I got my best guy against their corner, and I think we can win. So I feel like for what Tony Romo does and the way that he plays football, he needs a guy like Dez that can make those special plays.
If you had theme music every time you came on the show, what song would it be?
Wow. That's tough.
Outside of Mike can make it happen every time.
I would have to go.
Ryan Clark comes in, whatever you want.
I would say Flashlight.
Okay, Flashlight outside. Oh, he kind of rolled his eyes there. That was.
So he thought you probably wanted one that
easily accessible. I think
that was more easily
mainstream? Right. He goes
more
Flashlight.
mainstream.
Yeah. Jeez, Clark, come on.
Yeah,
man.
well, that's the song that I always played for my fraternity when we were out. And
there
so
you go.
that's why I went with it.
Next time you're here,
I apologize. I'll give you a better one next time, maybe.
No,
but now since I gave you that one, I'm stuck.
He's trying to dial it up right now, right? He's got not having much success. Next time you're here, Flashlight is in the house. Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Okay,
then.
See? Outsider gets it done.
How he's quick on the show.
I mean, this is why we make history every day. It's because we can do things like that.
Just with the snap of the fingers. Ryan Clark.
We'll get an ESPY award.
Thank you, guys.
Next time you're here, we'll have more NFL content we can really dive into.
Now, this was actually more fun for me.
Right.
So I enjoyed
Plenty
it.
of time to get to that.
We'll keep it loose then. Appreciate you, man.
The Russillo Show.
Let me soak you in my mentals here for a second.
I think Adnan should be fined for this song.
for requesting this
yes,
song.
You should be fined.
Come on,
it's a round of sodas for the guys. Right?
That's right.
Tomorrow, wherever you guys come with that.
That song's god awful.
No, it's not.
Steve, you like it? John, you like that song?
Cheesy summer song.
Not really.
Oh, come on. If you're at like a bar by the beach and it comes on,
Give me the
summer
skip
anthem.
button. Give me the skip button. Go to the next one.
Outside, you like that track?
Find me a beach in Connecticut as well.
That's true.
Old Lime.
They opened up a Microsoft store at the mall up here, and I didn't even know Florida Georgia Line was like going to be there and everything. Never even heard of them, so I just passed on it.
Wait, they were here?
They were here at the West Farms Mall to open the Microsoft store.
Nothing says career is going well than being at the mall at the West Farms Mall in Connecticut.
West Farms is
Man.
nice.
Yeah, but I don't know if Florida Georgia Line has visions of that when they were.
Yeah, Sold Out Arena.
Setting
They're
their
thinking Madison Square Garden. They're not thinking West Farms Mall. Outside.
And I
of
love
Mike.
the West Farms Mall.
No, it's great.
Yeah.
We live right close there, actually. It's a nice little mall. It's funny that, especially this is where we live in Connecticut, it's like, that's the mall. Like most places you say where you're going, the mall. Oh, yeah, there's one within 40 miles. That's the one.
Yep.
Clayton Kershaw, let's talk a little baseball. Adnan, Virk, Danny Kanell in for Ryan today on the Russillo Show on ESPN Radio and ESPN app as well. Kershaw gets roughed up again. Big spots now. Well documented in the playoffs. He has been really lackluster, especially against the Cardinals. They just seem to have his number, especially what we saw last year when he had a historic year in the regular season, MVP in the Cy Young. But again, now in the All-Star game, he ends up struggling. They asked him about it because it was fun until he started giving up runs. And he's one of the many guys, I think, that feels like he doesn't think it should count towards determining home field advantage. He says, it's not something I think about, but it's not really my favorite thing in the world that they determine home field advantage with the winner. But I understand why they do it. So I don't think he was making excuses. He was being honest about it. But do you take any stock in the fact that in clutch situations now, there's been more than a few now that Kershaw does not perform well?
I think he has to be careful. We talked about it before, and you said it right, before we came on this one about it. He's got to be careful. He's not the Peyton Manning of Major League Baseball because, especially 2013, 2014 season, there hasn't been anybody as dominant as him on the mound. 1.83 ERA, 1.77 the last 2 years of what he's done in the regular season. But then to be 1-5 record with over 5 ERA in the postseason, those stats are pretty alarming. And it can become, he's still 26, got a long way to grow up, and he's still maturing. But the more it becomes an issue, the greater it sort of becomes an obstacle that you have to overcome mentally. And I think that's the biggest obstacle is he's got to get that one off his chest. But even with Peyton Manning, he got the one, and he thought, okay, maybe here we are.
Right.
And then he's been close, but he hasn't been able to get that second Super Bowl title, where Clayton Kershaw still needs to have that success. And I'm always tentative on buying in on guys until you start seeing it through the clutch times, when you want to see greatness come through.
Yeah, I'm with you, especially in that last part, because he's widely considered to be the best pitcher in baseball. The numbers are incredible, but there is a bit of that loophole there, right? You go, well, if he's the best, well, why isn't he? And I don't see if to win a World Series, but why hasn't he had that complete game performance in a playoff start? Why hasn't he been as dominant as we've seen? If the Cardinals are the best team in baseball as they were last year and they are this year, then why doesn't he pitch great against them? How come Bumgarner outdueled him in the Giants?
And like there's a separation, like what separates guys from being like really good college guys to really good pros.
Mm-hmm.
There's a separator. There are a lot of times it's mental, sometimes it's physical. And I think like when you talk about greatness in Major League Baseball or any sport, when you go from greatness to being like the best of the best, to being that elite talent, the guy who can get it done in the regular season and postseason, a lot of times I think it is mental. Yeah. I think that's the hurdle that Clayton Kershaw has to get through, where he gets it done in a postseason setting. So where he can say, all right, I can get that monkey off my back. I mean, that Steve Young, that clip of him at the Super Bowl when he jokes about, hey, the Joe Montana, the shadow, got that monkey off my back.
Yeah.
Every guy usually has some sort of monkey on his back that he has to get off. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what Clayton Kershaw's dealing with. He's got to get that one past him.
2 runs, 3 hits, and a walk on the top of the 5th. The worst All-Star appearance of his career. He gets the loss. National League loses at 6-3. Overall, his numbers, 6-6 records, which is misleading. A 2.85 ERA, league leading 160 strikeouts. He hasn't been ridiculous. Yeah.
Off a little bit.
It's frustrating too in baseball sometimes for a pitcher. You get a couple of bad starts, and all of a sudden that inflates everything. Overall, his numbers actually have been really good this year, just not otherworldly as they were a year ago. With Danny Kanell, Adnan, Virk, in for Ryan today, the Russillo Show on ESPN Radio. A little bit of baseball music here, Outsider. Some storylines to look forward to towards the second half of the year. Kind of go back and forth on this. One that I think
back Florida Georgia line if all else fails.
It's fine. You don't need music if you want. That's okay. I thought I would give it a little bit of juice here. It's all right. AL East to me is fascinating. 6.5 games separating right now. That's the fewest at the All-Star break during the wild card era. It goes back to 1994. We're used to, Danny, this division featuring the major teams and major juggernauts, Yankees, the Red Sox, the Orioles, the Jays, the Rays. And yet, this field is fairly wide open. And every team has a fairly big big issue. Now, the Jays, my guys, the offense is incredible. The best offense, in fact, in all of baseball, but they're 24th in starting rotation ERA. They've blown the most saves with 14. Red Sox haven't pitched well enough either. The Rays can't hit. Their pitching's ridiculous. The Orioles have been kind of just inconsistent. They got Wieters back now. Machado's having a great year. And the Yankees are in first place. How rare is it for the Yankees to be a first-place team, and yet nobody really feels like they're a contender or a team that people are buying this year?
Yeah, it was funny because I heard Joe Buck on Colin Cowherd's show last week. Kind of funny that happened. But you look at it, and he was saying that nobody in the AL East really sticks out as a true contender. Like, this is an entertaining division, and everybody likes to watch this one. But he didn't feel like any of these teams had what it takes to win it all. And I do see that in this division, that there are a lot of big names and there are a lot of teams that people like to watch. I want to see A-Rod, see how he does the second half. But I think their pitching woes are going to come back to haunt them, the Yankees, unless they add an arm at a starting pitcher. But I just don't know if any of these teams are going to be able to go deep in the playoffs if they have what it takes.
Little known fact, by the way, Kanell is a Yankees fan along with a Miami fan because of Don Mattingly, so he's pulling for the Pinstripers. Is the Triple Crown within reach? Paul Goldschmidt.
I love that. You must listen on Saturday morning, Daria Mel.
You guys were talking about that?
That was my storyline for the second half. You stole it from me.
I did.
It's going to happen. I'm going with you. Go ahead.
Here are the numbers right now. Bryce Harper, Paul Goldschmidt. No one has won the National League Triple Crown since Ducky Joe Medwick, 1937. Harper right now is hitting .339. That's second in batting average. Goldschmidt, .340. He's first. Obviously, only 1 percentage point separating them. Harper's second home runs with 26. Goldie is fifth with 21. And RBI, Harper's got 61. Goldie's got 70. That's tied for first. So both Harper and Goldschmidt could get the Triple Crown. Of those two guys, who are you more confident about betting on?
Bryce Harper. I would take him in a heartbeat because Goldschmidt's got to catch up in the home runs. That's probably the toughest one to get there.
Yeah.
But I would love for it to happen. Is there a more underrated player in all of baseball than Paul Goldschmidt? Like, you could put him in a lineup, and even baseball fans would have a hard time pointing him out, myself included. Like, I wouldn't be able to point at him and say, yeah, that's him. You know, like it's one of the. It's amazing to me how little he's talked about.
Yeah, he's like the Frank Robinson of this era. I mean, it's ridiculous because he's been really successful, and it really is because of the fact he's on Arizona and they're not a very good team. You put him on the Yankees, the Red Sox, Dodgers, everybody would know Paul Goldschmidt.
Stanford Steve, do you remember
when you say underrated,
yeah,
right? I think in baseball it's getting to the point where they're just big market teams and they're not really big. Not calling you out, Danny, at all.
No, yeah.
But like he's not underrated. And all you got to do is watch him.
Right.
The guy's unbelievable.
But he doesn't get enough airtime. And that's probably our fault.
That's what I'm saying. So that's the easy way just to say he's underrated because he's not on Sunday Night Baseball. He's not on, our game of the week, right?
Right. National exposure, yeah.
Stanford Steve, do you remember we had I think it was Kirkton in studio, and I asked him about the Triple Crown because I was trying to find a positive spin on the Giancarlo Stanton being out for as long as he was. And I was like, hey, well, the bright spot is we could potentially have a Triple Crown winner. And he was like, no, it'll never happen. You remember, I don't remember which one it was that they said it wouldn't happen. I think it could. I think it's a realistic possibility.
It's at least worthy of conversation for a few minutes in the Russillo
I'm going to go out and call it right now so you can get it on tape.
Last one for you, start looking forward to surprise teams holding on. If the postseason began today, the Astros, the Twins, and the Cubs are all in the playoffs. Stanford Steve's Mets would finish just one game back of a playoff spot. Now, some had said the Cubs and the Mets, but nobody was picking the Astros or the Twins to make the playoffs this season. Of those four, Danny, which one do you feel most confident of making the playoff? For perspective here, these are all, we're thinking of wild cards here. Astros were leading the division much of the year. Angels caught them right at the break. They're a half game back. But by and large, Cubs, Mets, and Twins wild card.
Astros, I think, are still a year away.
Right. Strike out a ton.
I'm kind of on the Mets bandwagon, but I think I'm corrupted by Stanford Steve in here every day talking about it.
Cubs is the team.
Cubs,
second wild card.
You think you're gonna think they're gonna make a run?
Although I think it's tough because that division's so good. I think Cards win the division and Pirates, Cubs both get the wild card.
Nice.
Twins are the team nobody's giving any props to. I mean, you talk to any baseball insider analyst.
Blame it on the market.
Exactly. God, Minnesota, no chance. Get ready for Teddy Bridgewater and the Vikings. That offense can't.
They're underrated.
Yeah, they're underrated.
It's the Russillo Show.
I want to thank all the fine folks of Cincinnati. The first time I've actually spent some time there. Nick, Corey, Servan, Andy. I promised all those guys to give them a shout. They're big fans of the Russillo Show. As I mentioned yesterday, more people recognize me for radio than they do for TV, which is, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. But thank you, fellas, for listening. And they're big fans of Ryan and Stanford Steve and Outsider and Steve. So I want to pass that along. But what was clearly the highlight for me was not that home run derby involving Todd Frazier, as great as he was. It was calling celebrity softball. The background to this is John Anderson called the last couple of years. He's McQuaid's guy. Like, McQuaid thinks funny guy, John Anderson. So Anderson this year, when McQuaid no longer is doing baseball, he's running Sports Center. Phil Orland's, P. Rothman, our new bosses. So I went to them and said, listen, I think I should be calling celebrity softball. I'm like, well, let's just check with John Anderson first. I'm like, okay. Anderson's at the British Open. I go, perfect. I go, listen, it's baseball, it's pop culture. Like, this is a home run for me. Like, I promise you I will do a good job. Now, maybe it's because I had to fight for the role that I really wanted to do a good job with it, and I was worried maybe Anderson will come back next year. I don't know if we're going to have the Open. Next year's going to be San Diego. I want to take the wife and the kids out there. Maybe all this was going through my head, or maybe I just really love celebrity softball. Here are some snippets, then we'll have Danny's reaction to just how jacked up I was.
The Queen City, where celebrities from the entertainment world and past stars of national pastime converge. We've got Snoop, the D-O-double-G, with Sparks. Also the Wizard of Oz, the Mayor, and the Hawk. Give me more, give me more, give me Macklemore. The Red Rifle with former Reds greats. And the Hunger Games with a slight wriggle to it. You will not suffer from whiplash, and that's no urban legend. Celebrity Softball on ESPN, next.
So Celebrity Softball takes place on Sunday. It then has to be edited down. Talk about a great time slot, Danny. It airs after the Home Run Derby, which
came down to the wire, so there are a lot of people tuning in.
So literally, the second that Boomer and Ravi signed off, that is what you heard for the Open. You're like, what is going on here?
Your friends at Awful Announcing definitely noticed. They took notice of the pun usage in that Open right there.
Right.
I thought there was quite a bit of "Wah!" like that one. That's my favorite fight.
So
you have it? Is it up
because,
there still?
Because of the fact that it was going to be edited, one of the guys that told me, he goes, here's a tip. First 2 innings, make sure it's good, and the last 2 innings, make sure it's good. Third and fourth, you can take a break. Because they're going to edit it down for TV 1 hour. But I'm like an actor. I said, no, I don't want to give you 10 takes, and the lousy take's the one they use. Every take, I'm going full throttle.
You're like a character actor, too. You must have been in that
right.
mode.
I'm like Paul Giamatti. I'm like Phil Seymour Hoffman. Like, I'm one of those guys where I'm dialed in, and that's what resulted in this. This is an early Vladimir Guerrero home run.
Vladdy ripping that pitch deep to left field. God, who's your Vladdy?
Who's your Vladdy? That might have been my favorite right there.
I think it's Game 7 of the World Series. Sean Casey
it's
as well.
Way more important than that.
Time now for Sean Casey, the Mayor. Had that reputation for always chatting with everybody. A long-time Cincinnati Red, and he sends a drive deep to right, and the Mayor has left the building.
He passed the base. He was going all the way to the legal 90 feet.
Sean Casey was ready to go back to political office. An absolute moonshot from Sean Casey.
My buddy Eduardo Perez, they're trying to steal the thunder on the call here. Just let me go wild here.
I imagine you just punching him right in the arm when he jumps in right there, Adnan.
I just gave him the hand, like, stop. Just let me go crazy here.
It sounds like you guys had some Red Bull vodkas. Like there's a lot of energy, and that you guys are pretty loose there with the conversation.
I wouldn't deny that I'm enthusiastic.
Oh yeah,
and no matter what, I would have been up. But Stanford Steve made the best point. Part of why I think I was so juiced was I'm on the field, and Miles Teller from Whiplash joked to me before the game. He goes, "Holy crap, there's a lot of people here." There was like 30,000 that were there for Celebrity Softball. So combination of crowd, natural enthusiasm. It almost kind of sounded like this.
High fly ball into right field. She is gone. In a year that has been so improbable, the impossible has happened.
It was like Vince Scully, Kirk Gibson home run.
Iconic. It was iconic. I'll never forget.
But you were piped into the stadium? The crowd heard you?
No, Chris Rose and Kevin Millar were actually doing stuff that interviews the crowd here. But like, just feel the roar of the crowd. I'm literally standing. I'm literally this close to home plate. Carissa Thompson. Oh my goodness! Like it was just the emotion overcame me.
So the crowd missed out. Those are the real losers. I mean, the TV audience are the people who got to enjoy that. It was trending on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, this is, and you know what this
is.
The
highest rated celebrity game, right?
Ever. It got a 2.1 rating.
He's burying the lead here.
62% increase over last year, the highest in 5 years.
Tell Anderson, take that.
Yeah.
Send him that. Send him that info in a tweet.
Send him back to the British Open.
He did ask me, he goes, this is a huge request. He goes, can you pick up an All-Star Game jersey for my son? Practice Day jersey, American League, number 32, Anderson on the back. I'm like, okay. FanFest, I went to FanFest during the day. It's awesome, right? You get stuff for the kids, my nephews, my cousins. I go to the jerseys. We're out of ours.
Well, oh, come on.
I can't get him Anderson. That's not going to work. He goes, just try at the stadium. So I go to see him. This is during the home run derby. I watched Donaldson for sure. Blue Jays going to support him. Then I'm like, all right, I'll go there. Took about 20 minutes to wait in line. All right, we can do it for you. It's a 2-hour wait. When Frazier started going ridiculous, I was in line picking up an All-Star game jersey for John Anderson's son. That's how good a teammate I am.
That's the type of guy you are. That's the Canadian in you.
That is the Canadian in me. I just had to do it for John. It was $133. I'm like $15 shipping and handling. I'm getting a bonus out of that. Next year, we're going to get Kanell involved. Herb Street was there. He hit a home run, had a great catch in center. I'm sure that it helped that he's a huge Reds fan. But wouldn't you guys want to see Danny performing in the game?
Well, yeah, he's got the baseball background.
See, there we go.
People forget that about him.
Yeah.
He'll be complaining about playing time, though, where he's batting in the lineup.
Guys were competitive, though. I mean, Danny would fit in because guys wanted to win out there. Everyone's like, was Riggle really funny? I'm like, no, he was serious. He wanted to win the game.
I would just be mad if I walked. I'd be really mad if a pitcher walked me. I'd be hot.
Stanford Steve, you watched the whole thing. What stood out to you besides the fact that
Herb Streets is just the best.
Yeah.
I mean, he comes up, goes yards, hometown, makes a great play at the plate.
What do you think of Snoop?
I'm all set with Snoop. I know you were digging Snoop. You had the mic. I mean, we didn't even get that audio. You guys had him mic'd up in the field. You're talking to him. He was not listening to you. I noticed that was like the third or fourth inning, the ones that you said your guy said, you can take these off.
Talking about those. I'm like, wait,
they're not going to be in there.
Those long, awkward silences, that made the show. Hey, Snoop, can you hear me? Not sure if you can hear me, Snoop. Are you there? Oh, that was on the air on ESPN. By the way, and I love Roger Federer. I did a commentary on Fed yesterday for Olbermann. Very nice to be able to retweet that. To Stanford Steve's point about ratings, celebrity softball got a 2.1. Federer Djokovic got a 1.9. What kind of a world are we living in?
That is messed up.
And now, for Geico's edition of Stuff Found in Your Car, we go inside your side door pocket.
Hello, yes, the crumpled receipt with gum in it. From your anniversary dinner, you sprang for expensive wine, your server was Beth. That dinner was a couple $100. Money you could get back if you switched to Geico and saved hundreds of dollars on your car insurance. I bet you'd save that receipt, frame it even. But really, where did I go wrong? Was it the corkage fee?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com today.
The Russillo Show.
Let me soak you in my mentals here for a second.
The Open is winding down at least first-round coverage, and Dustin Johnson is the leader. After his round with Tom Rinaldi, talked about his falter at the U.S. Open a couple of weeks ago, a rather incredible meltdown, and some are wondering if there was going to be a carryover. Here's what DJ had to say.
The Open I played really well. I felt like I was in control of my game. I felt like I was driving it well. I was hitting my irons well. I was putting it well. But I couldn't really control the ball bouncing. That was, I could hit the putts where I wanted to, and if it went in, it went in. If it didn't, there's nothing I can do about that. And it just didn't bounce my way.
Now, Stanford Steve was fired up, felt like he was making excuses, right?
I just don't understand why he just couldn't say, put the blame on himself.
Yeah, golfers
that
are
bothers
notorious.
me.
Golfers are notorious for blaming their caddy for a bad read, blaming a blade of grass. Like you see him look down, there was a spike mark. I get it. It's such a mental game. You want to be able to point the finger at somebody else. But I'm with you. I mean, he blew it. I mean, that was 12 feet. He 3-putts from 12 feet. I don't care how bad the greens are. You got to lay it down there and make sure that at worst case you have a 2-putt. That to me is he should be taking it. But I think he's it's funny. It's because kind of come the theme of the show about guys that are great in the regular season and haven't been able to get over that hump.
Yeah.
Dustin Johnson's a guy that has to get over that hump. He's been close. He's blown, 3 major championships now where he's been really close. But he's proved pretty resilient where he's been able to get back on track. But he's still got to get it done. The pressure is going to continue to mount on him, too, especially if he's on that leaderboard on Sunday. Everyone's going to be talking about, hey, can he bounce back? Can he get it back from where he was at Chambers Bay with the U.S. Open? Is that going to be in the back of his mind? And it's a legitimate question.
Yeah, it's as you said earlier about Kershaw, the biggest hurdle here is mental, and especially with golf.
Oh.
It is such a grind. Once you get the yips and once you get that thought in your head, I can't blow this like I did last time. I don't want to be a choke artist. I mean, it's incredible the way golfers can use tunnel vision because there's nobody else to rely on but yourself.
Yeah, and you can't even tip your cap to a guy, to Clayton Kershaw and say, well, that team had a great night against me. It's all on you.
Yeah.
You can say, hey, Jordan Spieth hit some good shots at Chambers Bay too, but when you 3-putt from that sort of distance, there's something where you got to just, man, it is a soul lonely game.
Tiger Woods struggled at an opening round 76.
I fought hard today. I made so many mistakes today. I made two bogeys with wedges in my hand and I bogeyed a par 5. So not ideal.
We need to stop talking about Tiger. No, I'm serious. Like, it gets to be Tiger fatigue. And it was funny because Trey Wingo, one of our NFL guys here, he said something about, it was at the Greenbrier, I believe, and he said, oh, look, he's hit 14 fairways, and, something about how great he looked in there. I was like, don't tell me about it until he does it in a major. It's a different environment for him, and it's going to be, that's the hurdle he's got to get over now. But he is done. Like, until he gets back and is in the hunt for an entire tournament, it's sad to watch unfold somebody who's been the greatest in the world at what they've done. And I want him. I'm rooting for him.
Yeah.
But it is getting painful. Like, he looks like he's about to explode. Like, he looks like he's an amateur about to break a club over. Like, that's how like when we played bad. I mean, that's what he looked like he was just about to explode today.
Remember before the conversation is, will Tiger win another major? Now it's, when will he win another tournament? When will he get another top 10? I mean, it's not even close. And yesterday when I was in for Keith on Oberman, I talked about Tiger and Fed, how those guys were so close for so many years. Tiger Woods is ranked 241st in the world. Roger Federer is second, and still so much attention paid towards Tiger. It's really
could he get so bad that he's going to lose his tour card ever? Or, I mean, I'm sure he's got tons of sponsor exemptions and stuff.
Well, he's got a bunch of exemptions from his major wins as well.
Yeah,
so I don't think he's in jeopardy of losing that. But it's for him, I would think it's a jeopardy of just the humiliation of going out there every time and not making cuts and having people ask these questions over and over. Or if you're him, it's because it's driving him nuts.
Yeah, he made that comment. I'm not going anywhere. I know you guys think I'm ready for my AARP cover. It's not going to happen. But I mean, I know you're only 39, but God, man, it's ugly right now.
Adnan, you brought up Federer. You did your thing yesterday yesterday. Really appreciate it if you stop predicting wins for him because you're like Ofer.
Oh, did you pick him to win Wimbledon?
Yes, you did. The morning of the match, you picked him in 4. I saw. I've been keeping tabs on you since I called you out.
Yeah, Stanford, because I was doing a lot of hockey tweets, just like, oh, what a great game for the Rangers.
The hot list tweets, I call them.
Stanford goes, enough of the hot list. Like, we all saw the game. We don't need you to recap Lundqvist pitch. How about a prediction? So I go, okay, fine. Whoever they were playing, I said they'll win in 7.
Yeah, you lost the Lightning.
I had a tweet. I had a tweet ready to go for Van Pelt because we had the conversation Nadal versus Federer, and I was a big Federer guy, and he was saying Nadal's the better guy because of the head-to-head.
Right.
And I was so ready to go if he tacked on that one more major. And then I was like, oh, man, so I deleted it. But I'm still sticking to my guns. I think Federer is better overall.
Yeah, I'll retweet the commentary in case you want to see that. Because if we get going, I'll talk Federer all day. Stanford Steve knows that.
Who's got a better chance of winning the next major, Tiger or Federer?
Federer. He's the second best player in the world.
Not even close.
Back-to-back Wimbledon finals.
Going to beat Djokovic. No.
He could.
He could.
What?
Somebody else could in the tournament.
I was about to say, Djokovic isn't in every final.
Yeah, I can see it.
Federer can beat Murray. Nadal isn't who he once was. So if Djokovic is the only obstacle, if he loses, then Federer wins.
Talk Game of Thrones.
All right. I don't know if we have music for this. Emmy nomination music. Game of Thrones, 24 nominations. With the amount of TV and entertainment that I consume, I must admit, this will offend people, I actually do not watch Game of Thrones. I know it's supposed to be awesome, and I know it's great. The only thing I love is I love Peter Dinklage.
Yeah. Tyrion Lannister?
Yeah.
I love his character on the show, too. He plays a little dirty guy, like just nasty liar.
Like, he's been a great actor. A movie called The Station Agent, indie movie he did with Bobby Cannavale like 10 years ago.
That was his breakout thing, right?
Right. So I've always kind of followed his career. I think he's a good actor. And I've already been a little guy, he's going to get typecast. But I'm like, apparently on this show, he's just phenomenal.
Yeah, he's outstanding. He's got they write him in really well, too. He's always in a great story.
I heard there was a great scene with him and a woman, and they're on different camps, but they had like a real head-to-head. Somebody equated it to like Pacino, De Niro, and Heat. There was a scene this year in Game of Thrones, Lannister and somebody else. But the good news is he gets nominated with regards to supporting actor. I was most pumped up about Better Call Saul, the spinoff from Breaking Bad. It is nominated for Best Drama Series, Best Actor. What a performance by Bob Odenkirk, who is a really funny guy.
He's hilarious.
He's a comedic actor, and he's nominated for Best Actor. Look at this series for Drama Series. John Hamm, Final Time for Mad Men. Spacey for House of Cards. Stanford Steve loves him. Kyle Chandler for Bloodline, Jeff Daniels for The Newsroom, Liev Schreiber for Ray Donovan, and then you got Bob Odenkirk. He's the funny guy, and he's up there against these dramatic heavyweights.
They're going to give it to him, though, the Lifetime Achievement Award. They're going to give it to him because the series is over.
He's never won an Emmy for Best
Oh, it's a done deal. And now you tell me that, it's definitely going to him.
All
these things are rigged.
Right. He used to always lose to Cranston. Cranston beat him 4 times for Best Drama Series. Spacey might win, but Danny's right. It's the last chance Hamm can win, so he's going to win that one. Also, supporting actor, I wanted to point out the great performance this year by Jonathan Banks of Better Call Saul. He was so good. I mean, he was Mike Ehrmantraut, obviously on Breaking Bad, a beloved character, but he actually put that character on a new show, gave it more nuance, gave it deeper shades of meaning, and that episode where it really kind of focuses around his backstory is incredible. It's one of the top dramatic episodes you'll ever see.
My vote for Outstanding Comedy Series, Veep. is hilarious.
Rabbit's
That's one
is
of
big
my,
on that, too.
That is one of my favorite shows on TV.
The thing I love most about Veep is Tony Hale. He was Buster on Arrested Development.
Yeah.
He was also nominated for supporting actor, so I was
Yeah.
happy for him.
He's great.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus always gets nominated.
She
as
can
well.
throw around some F-bombs with the best of them, too.
Oh.
She gets on these rants, and it's unbelievable what they can get away with.
Yeah, comedy
It's
series
awesome.
is Louis. Flores loves Louis. Says it's great. Modern Family. Tired of Modern Family. It's won like 5 years. Enough.
Yeah.
Uncle. Silicon Valley, I haven't seen. Mike Judge shows, which is funny. Veep, which I'm with Danny, is good. Transparent to Air is great. Jeffrey Tambor is phenomenal. Unbreakable, Kimmy Schmidt, I couldn't tell you anything about. And Parks and Recreation, which has been around for a while.
Done, though, right? Isn't Parks and Rec done?
Is it done now? We can.
I think so.
Yeah, it is done. We're not going to go into miniseries, so thankfully we won't break down all of Kinrich's chances. But I want to lead actor in a comedy series. And I'll put this up to the floor here. Junk, Stanford, Steve, Outsider, Mike. Who do you want to see win? Don Cheadle, House of Lies. Louis, Matt LeBlanc for Episodes. William H. Macy, my guy, for Shameless. I don't watch it, but I love him. Anthony Anderson for Blackish. Jeffrey Tambor, Transparent. He's going to win. Apparently he's incredible. And Will Forte, Last Man on Earth.
I would have said Don Cheadle, but I'm mad at him.
Macy.
He came at me on Twitter.
Macy was
Yeah, he should. That show is great.
Don Cheadle came after me on Twitter.
He did?
So yeah, about Tiger Woods. We were getting into it.
Don Cheadle went after you?
Yeah. It was one of the most absurd Twitter conversations I ever had.
Okay, what did you say, and then what did he respond?
I said Tiger Woods is done. I could beat him right now, and $20 Nassau. Let's go. And he called me out. He's like, "Yo, you're a chump. You can't beat him." I was just messing around. I wasn't seriously saying I could beat it. So we went back and forth. It was pretty funny.
I love that Cheadle defended his guy. Claire Danes for Homeland, which Danny still watches. I just think once Brody was gone, that show's
Yeah, it lost some of its luster.
And the show that your wife likes, Inside Amy Schumer. She is nominated for lead actress in a comedy series.
Personally, I think the show's a little overrated. It's a really hit or really miss.
Very vulgar, and I'm all for vulgarity, but there's a lot of that with Amy Schumer.
Too much shock value.
The Russillo Show.
Let me soak you in my mentals here for a second.
Previously on the Russillo Show.
Speaking of music, we were talking about Florida Georgia Line, so I don't even know how this first started, but every time I hear the song Cruise, I think of Danny. And we're just curious about how their career was unfolding, what was the latest with them, and apparently Outsider Mike said he saw them at a location not far from us here in Connecticut.
Yeah, they opened up a Microsoft store at the mall up here, and I didn't even know Florida Georgia Line was going to be there and everything. Never even heard of them, so I just passed on it.
Wait, they were here?
They were here at the West Farms Mall to open the Microsoft store.
Nothing says a career is going well than being at the mall at the West Farms Mall in Connecticut. No knock against West Farms Mall either, by the way. It's a place I frequent quite often.
We're trying to get endorsement deals here at
And
West Farms
neither
Mall.
is a knock against Florida Georgia Line. I have, we have some.
There's a connection there.
Yeah, there's a connection. The duo, Tyler Hubbard and Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly from Ormond Beach, Florida, actually was a star pitcher in high school and signed a baseball scholarship at Florida State.
Oh, okay.
I think Russillo beef with them or something. He's got a story, I think.
Russillo's a beef with Florida Georgia Line?
Yeah.
I didn't know. Did you guys realize there actually is a genre of country music called bro country?
No, that's
that right there eliminates.
All right,
it for
move
me.
on.
All right.
Let me ask you a question. It's brought to you by AutoZone.
Steve's not having it.
Get some of the money back that you put in your. Hey, you know what? Before we get to let me ask you a question. This was Kanell doing an impression of me.
Your friends at Awful Announcing definitely noticed. They took notice of the pun usage in that open right there.
Right.
I thought there was quite a bit of wow.
In case you missed it.
Wow. Wait, now was that yours or was that mine?
That was you doing me. Kanell doing Adnan impression drop.
Wow. Is your drop still on there or did that get deleted?
Yeah, that's my with the Vladdy call or the
No,
Wookiee
your
call?
Wiki
Oh,
call.
Wookiee yell? I don't know where it is. I don't see it.
Because I thought I was pretty spot on. I'm not an impression guy, but I thought I was pretty good.
I said if you have the Wookiee yell in there at some point in the next couple minutes, let me know. We'll just hit
Not
that.
going to happen.
All right, once again, it's Danny doing me. Let me ask you questions brought to you by AutoZone. Get some of the money back that you put in your car. Head to AutoZone today for your free AutoZone rewards card. Let AutoZone pay you to shop. Get in the zone, AutoZone. My question to you is how bummed are you that we don't have a podcast today?
It bothers me a little bit. I get my parents like to listen. They actually figured out how to do a podcast, which was a big momentous occasion.
They're
when
all
they
in on
figured out
podcast.
that, yeah. And now they can't even listen to us on here, so I feel a little bit of disrespected.
We're going to figure out how to tweet somebody or make an email perhaps to say, hey,
Yeah, we'll see if we can make that happen because it's definitely in demand. I mean, there's a lot of people asking for it. My mom is one of them. I'm sure you have some family members that would like
exactly.
to hear
My brother likes to listen.
Yeah.
He's at work during the day. He's like,
See?
I'll just listen to the podcast.
That's enough
Not
for
sure
me.
if it's available. What do you got for me?
Did you practice those calls for the Celebrity All-Star game? Like, do you sit in the hotel room the night before and do you look in the mirror?
In the mirror?
Like, yeah. Or do you write them out, like on the plane? Like, do they just come to you?
Vladimir Guerrero, whenever I used to do highlights, they used to always say, "Who's your Vladdy?" So that was an easy one.
Yeah.
That was just, hey, whenever, if he does something, I'll say that.
Just with a lot more enthusiasm.
Correct. And Herb Street, I had used Herbie Fully Loaded for something else one time. So I was like, if he does something, I have it. So the best is like when people were tweeting, go, "Oh, that was genius." I'm like, well, the movie's terrible. Lindsay Lohan movie. It's just, I could, if there was a better Herbie, I would do it. But Herbie Fully Loaded is the only thing I think of. So, and to answer your question, no. But it kind of just comes to me, when I'm kind of going through the rosters and stuff. I don't jump.
I've got a follow-up
Yeah.
from the Celebrity All-Star game because, when you meet celebrities, some are friendlier than others.
Yeah.
Who was the friendliest and who, gave you the stiff arm?
Miles Teller was awesome.
Yeah, I heard you talking about it. I'm a big fan of his, too. I hope you told him how much I
Yeah, I remember when
enjoyed
you
his
saw
work.
Whiplash, you said to me, hey, yeah, Simmons is great, going to win the Oscar, but Teller's fantastic in it. And I said to him, it must have got annoying the fact that Simmons was hogging the spotlight. He's like, yeah, I know. Especially because J.K. Simmons likes bragging with the fact he was beating him up all the time in the movie. And he's 60, although he's jacked for his age. But Teller was great. Big Eagles fan, big Phillies guy. Talked a little Flyers, talked some hockey with him. He was really cool. McElmore was nice. Snoop obviously was cool. Fashionably late to the press conference, but obviously made up for it in the game. There wasn't anybody that blew us off. I mean, they were all really approachable. We had some members of the crew, a couple of girls, Allie and Kristen. I'm like, hey, do you want to meet Nick Lachey? He's a pretty good-looking guy. He's been around. They're like, oh, my God. So I'm like, Jordan Sparks was really nice. I mean, I think in that environment, we were clearly not intimidating. We're not really press. This isn't like a junket. Nobody's going to be offended by talking to us. They're all really cool. Ozzie Smith actually knew me by name, so that was the highlight of my
pretty
day.
cool. So
I said, Ozzie, you can say, Adnan, what's up? And I'm like,
tonight.
Wizard of Oz. I'm like, that
he's
was
definitely watching that.
Yeah.
If Snoop ran into you, next week, do you think he'd be like, what's up?
No.
Would you go up to him and be like, Snoop?
Yeah, yes. I
You
would
would.
remind him. I'm like, hey, I called the celebrity game. We were talking last week. Remember when the IP was cutting out? I was that's exactly what I would be saying.
That's the one and only original right there.
Favorite celebrity that you've met? Favorite celebrity encounter that you've had?
Oh, from Canada?
No, just in general.
I think you said from
Canada's very,
I
very
haven't
well.
met that many.
Yeah. Me and Drake.
One of my all-time favorites, but it was really a low light because I subtly kind of tried to hit on her a little bit, was Renee Zellweger at the premiere.
Cold Mountain.
No.
Won an Oscar.
The Tom Cruise movie, the Agent movie.
Oh, yeah, Jerry Maguire.
Yeah, I've watched the movie. I was a young NFL guy, and I went up to her, and it was the most awkward conversation, nothing in common. And I was like, this is blowing up fast right in front of me, so I just ducked out.
You could do better than Zellweger, I think.
Yeah, but she was very cute in that film. She was very lovable in that role. But it was not a successful
I also doesn't like
attempt.
those small eyes. Jim Carrey used to joke about that after he broke up with her. He's like, I could never see what she was saying. Yeah, Carrey was merciless.
It's hard.
Thanks for listening to the Russillo Show podcast. Catch the Russillo Show weekdays from 1 to 4 Eastern.
Haven't looked at anything all day. Shorty's just firing on me. Can't get to you.
On ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.